Welcome to the Book of Balance podcast, where real stories meet real numbers. I'm your host, Patricia Oholeguy, your bookkeeper and believer that business should serve your life, not consume it. Each week, we sit down with entrepreneurs who've built their dreams from scratch and learned to balance their books, their boundaries, and their energy along the way. Ready to turn the page on financial stress and write your own story of clarity? Let's dive in. Welcome. My name is Patricia Oholeguy, and I am the host for the Book of Balance podcast. And today I have Alison Stuckey. Welcome. And you come from what city again?
I live in Toronto.
Toronto, that's right. So today I'm going to have Alison introduce herself, share a little bit about her, and we're going to learn more about her business and all the fun things she does for a living. So welcome.
There's a lot. Thank you so much, Patricia, for having me. This is such a pleasure. We had such a great conversation the first couple of times that we met. And I'm like, I need to be on her podcast because she is fun. So I define myself as a spiritual guide and intuitive energy healer, which is this much of everything that I do. I basically help women in midlife who are have all the balls in the air, they're spinning all their plates. They hope they're not going to fall in all aspects of their life, whether it's job, whether it's kids, whether it's aging and ailing parents, a stressed relationship or marriage, and that really fun underlying current of menopause. We are being pulled in so many different ways. We've lost ourselves, we've lost our connection to ourselves. Everybody has a piece of us, and during this midlife time, we are still trying to usually define ourselves as who we created in our 20s and 30s. We've gained all this wisdom, knowledge, and experience, and we're sitting here in our 40s, 50s, or 60s, waking up going, what happened? How did I get here? And who am I? Because that doesn't fit. That jacket doesn't fit anymore. And we have to bring her with us, upgrade her with all of that amazing experience we've gained to who we are now and really connect in, because that's who we are meant to be. So I do that through energy healing. I do coaching. I help people understand what the heck is going on as they expand in their personal growth or spiritual growth.
To me, it's like such an incredible umbrella, but it's all within the same scope.
Yeah.
So, how did you realize that this is what you wanted to do?
It became something I couldn't resist any longer. It is inside of me. I can't not do this. And when I tried to resist it, I got very sick. I was always sick as a kid growing up because I didn't let my gifts come through because it wasn't normal, wasn't accepted. What do you mean you have visions? What do you mean you can see things? What do you mean you can sense things? And I was always that chameleon. I fit in everywhere. I was everybody's friend, but I didn't show a lot of people. I didn't show anybody in childhood all of me. And I went through high school. I had some very good friends through high school, and then I went through university, and I had that sort of group of people. Went out into the workforce. I worked corporate for years. I came off to do mommying,
Right.
which I always thought, because I'd been taught, go to school, get a job, work through the ranks, retire. But I came from an entrepreneurial family, so that was in me. And when I left my corporate jobs and became a mom, I was off work for 4 years, and I always felt like I was playing hooky from work. So my biggest regret is not being present with my kids as much as I could have been, because there was something else pulling me to what I should be doing, which was completely backwards in my head.
I can relate to that. It's almost like I've come to terms. I'm going to have to come back another life
Yeah.
because
Well,
I,
I've cleared a lot of that.
I feel like, okay, well, next life.
And I was home. I was there. I just wasn't as present.
as you could have.
I was present in the moment at the time, but knowing what presence is now, and even for the last 10, 15, 20 years, or 15 years, my kids are in their 20s now. Um, it's not the same kind of presence I could have given them had I known what I know now,
Yeah,
which is fine. You can't regret the
I
past. You
agree.
can't.
I mean, we
Yeah.
only can give what we're ready to give at that moment, right?
Yeah.
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 I had a background in early childhood education and all of that, and I knew, but I struggled. It's just like, and
You're
again,
trying to fit into the expectations.
correct. Yeah. And so, you learn, but we'll come a few times and we'll learn and for that. That's what I'm thinking. I'm
Exactly.
not gonna carry any more guilt over this. I'm like, it's okay.
Exactly. Exactly. But I was there for all the big moments. So they'll remember me being there at school helping out or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. I just my personal presence could have been more with them, knowing what I know now.
Is what you know inside. It's not
Yeah, yeah,
like you just know, I could have been better.
yeah. So my kids used to ask, um, we were in a quite a affluent area, and my kids would ask, well, why isn't their mommy or daddy here? I said, because they're at work. And my kids didn't have any concept of that because my ex-husband now, but my husband worked at home as well. So we were both home.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And he could in a pinch, if I'm out an appointment or with the little one and the big one had something going on, he could go and pick them up at school, just pop out for half an hour and
Right,
pick them up at
right,
school.
right. Huh.
So their parents were always there, but a lot of parents were working and there were nannies, and my kids would ask, like, why aren't their parents?
Right.
Well, they work at a job. They
Have a
go
real job.
they work out, they go downtown, they go
Yeah,
to
which
their
is a
office.
beautiful thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then,
But for my kids, it was a huge,
right. So then you
strange concept.
corporate to being a mom, and then
Yeah.
how did you make the leap to working with?
When my kids were 4 and 6, opportunity landed in my lap. It was network marketing, and I aced it for the first 2 years. I rose very quickly through the ranks. And I remember we were promoting to the top 5% of the company. And I just put the brakes on, and it was like I was in a tunnel and everything was swooshing by me. It reminded me of those sci-fi movies where the spaceship goes down the tunnel and out. It was all passing by me, and I'm like, what is happening? And I was standing still, and all of this stuff was happening. And there was just so much energetic pushback from me, because it didn't feel authentic. It was numbers, 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 push, 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 end of month craziness. I had a very um, corporate uh, corporate minded team, which is fine. That's what they knew, professionals. And it was a very corporate, which is not who I am, even though I had worked in that business, in that industry. It wasn't me. And I wasn't doing what I was doing authentically. So as a result, I got very sick. I was going against my personal nature. And my entire life, I had a lot of illness because I wasn't speaking my truth. I had throat infections my entire childhood
Wow.
regularly
All your
because
thoughts.
I wasn't
Yeah,
speaking
correct.
up. I was just conforming.
Hmm.
And then when I was in this place we were promoting, I was in the egocentric. It's fantastic. I'm going to get the car. I'm going to get the watch. I am going to get. And I love the recognition, but it wasn't me. It was my team that was doing it. And I was still thriving in that very materialistic, egocentric corporate environment. And I thought, this is wrong. This isn't who I am. And that's why there was this sort of kickback emotionally and energetically for me. And 7 months later, I was laid flat in my 40s with a really bad, complicated case of mono. Mono in your 40s and mono in your teens and
Yes,
teens
yes,
and
yes, yes.
20s is a completely different thing.
Yes, yes. My ex-husband had it. He was out for like, he was out for at least 6 weeks. I mean,
Yeah,
like, unable to go to
yeah,
work. It was, I mean, he worked the first 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, he thought he was gonna die. It's
yeah.
horrible. I'm sorry.
It I had complications and my brain, I'm a writer and words are my thing. And I'd be talking and in the middle of I, I couldn't get the word in the middle of the sentence.
Wow.
It was the weirdest thing. It was for about 6 months. Like,
Wow.
what is happening to me? I hope this comes back because this is not good. I was incapable of writing returning like a 2-line email because my brain wasn't functioning properly. It was the weirdest thing. Um, Fast forward a year, I developed food sensitivities and allergies, which manifested with eczema all over my face. Looked like I'd taken a curling iron and burnt my neck and down the side of my face for an entire summer. At the time, I was selling skincare and makeup. This isn't from that, I don't think. I didn't know what was causing it. Um, so my confidence completely plummeted. I still had two little people at home. I had gone to the heights and my business was slowly fading away. And my confidence was in the toilet. I was not confident going out and talking to anybody. I went through depression. It was a show. It was a show. And I just backpedaled. That business faded away. Um, Taught me so much because there was a lot of personal development. I would not be where I am without having done that business because it was so intense on personal growth. So that led to my spiritual growth. Those two go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And everything started opening up for me intensively about 15 years ago.
Right.
12,
But
12,
when you say
15 years ago.
personal growth while you were working in that company, was it led by you, or was the company also encouraging people to continue to grow?
Both.
Okay.
I was choosing to do it, but at the first, read all the books. Yep, yep, yep. I was doing it, but nothing was going in
Okay.
because I wasn't ready. And when I became ready, I when I started when everything was coming to me and I was being led, my personal growth, I was a prolific reader of fiction.
Okay.
I would read 100 novels a year. And it was 3 years. I did not pick up a fiction book. It was
It
all
was
personal growth.
self-growth.
I just sucked in everything I could watch, everything I could listen to, everything I could read. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a huge jump. I started healing myself. Um, I met my spiritual leaders and mentors and guides and coaches. They just sort of started dropping into my lap because I couldn't ignore this anymore. I had way more questions than answers. I had all of these thoughts, all of these feelings. I started reading tarot cards. I have no idea what a 9 of Wands means in
Huh?
tarot speak. I have no idea, but I was reading them intuitively. And time and time and time again with people I didn't know, they'd be looking and I'd be concentrating. I'd look up and they'd be bawling because I had unlocked something super profound, personal, on point for them. I'm like, maybe I do know what I'm doing.
You
But
should.
I've always had that luck getting the parking space, avoiding the accident, knowing that's not right, but still going with it, going, oh, Yeah, I should have listened and done that. But it just became more and more. And my spiritual mentor would say to me, I have a client who wants to talk to their angels. Can you do that? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, I'll try. I'm like, oh, I can talk to angels. Okay.
That's incredible. I'm just trying to think. So I wanted to ask you, you took those 3 years to really learn more about yourself, and that's when you noticed that some of these gifts were, coming,
Expanding.
expanding, or being exposed. That's the word I wanted
Yeah.
to. Yeah,
And really being pronounced and attuned very quickly.
incredible. And so,
Yeah.
what was the next thing? So now you went from being an illness to self healing, self growth. You are learning that you have all these skills intuitively, that you're really making an impact on people. Um,
Yep.
and so, what did you decide to do next?
I had been growing up in a situation where this wasn't normal. So I hid it. Um, I couldn't be myself. I didn't have the wherewithal to even delve into it. I didn't know what it was. And even my grandma had some stuff, and my mom goes, "Oh, yeah, she saw blah, blah, blah again." I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But I never thought that I had these abilities. And then um, when they started expanding, I couldn't ignore them. And as I went through this process, I was in a marriage with my ex-husband. There's a reason he's an ex. Thought that this was all garbage and you couldn't make any money doing it. So I hid myself. And I was not well in that marriage because I wasn't being truthful. I wasn't able to expand out the way I wanted to and the way my spirit was screaming at me to. So I was getting sick, and these things happened sort of towards the middle end of my marriage. And we went through that crazy period of 5 years from 2020, and everything was insular, and I was not. I was out energetically, even though I was confined physically. Energetically, I was expanding. I was super tuned in with my tight team of mentors and associates, and we were talking daily, doing healing daily. We were I was expanding so quickly, and it ended up being just after that I realized this was not the place that I needed to be in order to be who I am meant to be. So I stepped out of my marriage, had an entity of a business with a partner who is also similar to me, very, very good friend of mine. And because I had been stifled in going through all of this stuff, we had never expanded the business because I wasn't ready to expand. I wasn't ready to speak my truth because I was in this marriage where I had to hide. He didn't even know her. He'd never met her. She's
Okay.
one of my best friends.
And I mean, this is a great point, and I want to
Mhm.
for a second, because in this case, I know that socially a lot of people are not comfortable. I mean, and I know religion has taken a big role for a lot of people, that they're not comfortable sharing what their talents are. But I think there's so many other people who grow up in households in which they are expected to go to the military because everybody else before you did that. Or, we have a mechanic shop and it's been in our family for 3 generations. Who's gonna take over this mechanic shop when the person there is no longer able to work in it? And so I
Totally.
think we in our society have a lot of pressure for many different angles of what we are telling our quote unquote children that they should be doing, and the expectations that we put on them and that society puts on them, right? So, if you come from a family of lawyers and you choose to go and become a movie screenwriter, you're like, people are never going to understand why, if you
Yeah.
had everything laid out and you even went to school and became a lawyer, why you're choosing to write movie scripts when you could be like thrive, so, and I think we have to remind a lot of people who may be out there, it doesn't just have to be a spiritual misalignment for you, but it could be any type of typical situation in which you might have grown up in a household in which you were kind of led or coached based on the society expectations. Not just because
Yeah.
that's what we know, right? People
Yep.
don't, in a mean way. They just do it because they love you, they care, they want you to be safe, right? And so, therefore, do what we did, and you're going to be great. I think it's worth mentioning to people that every time you choose to break away from the pattern that your family or your society or your town or wherever you're at is not going to necessarily be accepted by everyone. And this is why we talk about the Thanksgiving holidays, and it's like we have
Absolutely.
different perspectives in politics and this and that.
Yeah.
So, and I think we have to give ourselves permission sometimes to be the black sheep of the family, and that's okay. So I just wanted to mention that for those out there who are thinking that, how can they make that connection, and that we're all connected in a way.
And being different isn't bad. We
Wow.
we don't want to be judged, especially as women. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be outside what's acceptable. We
Right,
want to fit in. I've never fit in, and I'm okay with that.
right, and I think
Yes,
for most,
I have groups of friends, but I only recently in the last 10 years have a super tight, like, there's no hold barred.
right,
I can say anything, I can do anything, and I will be accepted by these people.
correct.
I've never had that in my life until the last 10 years.
See, that's a
And
good,
it's
and I think it's also because as moms, we focus on our children. And again, I think it's worth
absolutely,
mentioning that women, we go through a very different identity crisis, I guess we can call it, from men, because men, society has put a completely
it's
different
not
set
a
of
crisis, it's a
labels.
shift.
It is a shift. That's the right word.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
basically, men are also being imposed a lot of expectations. And if anything, if you have this label that you have to be the breadwinner, and you want to go off on a tangent because this is your dream, but it's not what people expect you to do, and it's a risk, and how can you going to provide for your family? So I think both genders struggle in extremely different ways when they're trying to break the pattern.
100%.
And for women, we deal with a very different set of expectations and inner guilt as a mom, and I think men go through their own challenges as well, because society has put a lot of pressure on them as well, and a very different
Absolutely.
on what is appropriate and isn't, and can you do this, and so I think that's worth mentioning, that it, every time we break off the pattern, we're going to ruffle some feathers.
Absolutely. And we take so much upon ourselves that when we do that, we take the responsibility of whatever that imposed displeasure or unacceptable behavior, whatever, we take that on. We're at fault, but
Right.
we're not. We're just living aligned or trying to live aligned. It's everything else that needs to shift to accept what you're doing that's aligned. We're not, when we have these tugs, these nudges, these pulls to these things that aren't acceptable or normal, or what is expected, the expectation, we're not doing something wrong. We're doing something that's inherently right for us. When that pull, that tug, that nudge is so strong, you can't ignore it. And if you do, you're going to make yourself completely out of alignment. You're going to make yourself sick,
Yes.
because spirit, the universe, whomever your higher power is going to say, no, you are not meant to be doing that. Your
Right.
purpose is over here.
Right. So,
And whether you're spiritual or not, or believe or not, there is something bigger than us, whether it's God, universe, divine source, whatever your higher power is, there it's undeniable. We are not it. We are not it. We are completely egotistical if we think this is it. There is something bigger guiding us. And if you don't listen to that purpose, I didn't listen for years and years and years, and I was chronically sick. I very, very, very rarely get sick now.
right.
It's like once every couple of years.
You see that. So my question then is, okay, so we as human beings go through this whole shift, right? And as we
Mhm.
go through different stages in life, we kind of find different barriers and different walls. And I think as our children grow older, we also get our time back. It gives us time to reflect, right? And to kind of
Absolutely.
decide what we want to do. So if we have listeners out there right now that are listening, that they have this not in them. They know that their life is not going the way they want it to be, and they can't quite pinpoint it. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. We just know it's not right. It doesn't feel right. This is not me. I remember I was a different person, and that person's gone. And the person here today is half of the person I used to be. So, and yet sometimes it takes time for us to find the root of what's going on before we can move on to the next leveling up emotionally as we continue to grow. And my question to you is, how do you help people when they come to you? They know that they're not okay, but they may not know where they need support.
Absolutely. I work a lot with people like this because they aren't yet connected in. They're still trying to think it out
Okay.
as opposed to feel. We have to go in. This is our truth, our heart, our feeling into it. Because when we're in resistance, there's a feeling to resistance. You know when you're doing something that isn't right for you. It's
Yeah.
not aligned. I'm going to use the word right so people understand what I'm trying to say. When it's not aligned for you, there's resistance. It's forcing it. You're trying to push the wall, you're trying to push that giant boulder. You're trying to push against something that doesn't feel it. There's something in you that tells you it's not the right choice, the way that you're supposed to go. But our head gets in the way, our monkey brain gets in the way and says, "Oh, but that's gonna make us the most money, and that's gonna get us there the fastest, and that's gonna this, that, the other thing," and we talk ourselves into it. But our body, feel in your body. Is your body in resistance? And it feels resistant. It feels like you're pushing. It's force. And if you just take a moment and you feel what's in your body, and ask yourself, and we have to be unabashedly honest with ourselves to get these answers because we're so used to our monkey brain getting in the way and making it all make sense.
Right.
Your body is going to tell you the truth. And if you have pain in your body when you are, if it's sparking pain, if you're trying to do something and there's pain in your body, that is the telltale to me when I do my work that you are not meant to be doing that. And when your body's in resistance, it's going to flare up. Your body is going to show you and tell you, you'll get sick, you'll get whatever happens. It's the stress of it. Your body's going, no, pushing back. And when you make that shift and come in and say, this is, even if it's the hardest thing to do, because your brain's saying, oh, you're going to be judged. It's not right. It's gone this far. You can't let it go. You've invested all this money, blah, 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 the myriad of excuses, but you're forcing it. You're trying to put the square peg in the round hole. It is never going to fit. And you'll go down that path. You might have a bit of success. It might work out, but eventually, because it is forced, it is going to fade away. Whereas if you go in and make the choice, might not make sense, often doesn't make sense, but it feels like it's flowing, it's easy. Your body goes, ah, yeah, that's what I want to do. And you might be over here saying, go right, go right, go right, go right. But your body's saying, no, just go left, please.
Yeah.
And your head's saying, no, that's shorter. There's no construction over there. And blah, 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 blah. And your body's saying, no, just go this way. And if you go that way, you're going to get there faster. It's going to be easier. You're not going to be in traffic. You're not going to have all this other stuff. Same thing with any decision that you have. Does it feel forced? Is your brain trying to convince you it's right, or is your body settling into it and moving into it? This is the simplistic version. I go
Yeah,
like
and
a
I
lot
and I and
deeper
I've
with my
met people who
clients.
are very in tuned with them, and they don't even know it. And I can tell because every time they make a decision, it's worked so well for them, and it just flows
Yeah,
so easily. And it's almost like they react to things as if they were a hobby, and I'm thinking, "Oh
they're
my
lucky.
he's just so in tune, he's not even aware, like, that
Yeah,
decisions like, having the ability to quiet your mind, to think about it, and to be able to
yeah.
listen to that inner voice is incredible, and I think this person has that ability, and they have intuitively been able to cherry pick things that have really flowed so well for them throughout their life.
Flow.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just
It's the the thing that I find the most is people are in their head and they're not in their body. They're not coming into their truth, which is in your body. They're in their head trying to make sense of it all. And they're talking themselves out of it. They might say, "Oh, well, I want to do this. I want to go and travel for 3 months and I'll just figure out how I'll make money." And then that's what they feel, and the other side says, no, but you've got a job, and what's going to happen if you leave your job, or you take a sabbatical, or you try and work from where you're going to be traveling? What if there's no wi-fi? How are you going to pay for your expenses? But your body's saying, no, just go, be free, and it'll work out.
figure
And
it
your
out.
head's saying, I have to, I have to, I have to. As soon as you say I have to, there's resistance.
Right,
I get to,
right.
I want to, there's ease.
Very true.
Yeah, we have to be aware of what we're saying to ourselves too.
Yeah, that is
Because our words are spells. It's called spelling for a reason. When we're telling ourselves we can't, we shouldn't, we blah, 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 that's making us our truth. We are putting that on ourselves, and that is becoming our truth. You have to be very careful what you're saying and how you're saying.
yes, I believe
Even present company. I get called out by my coaches all the time.
exactly, yeah, I think I try to be very mindful and aware, but it's so difficult because like you said, we have been given this,
Conditioned.
but yeah, we've been conditioned to certain expressions and ways of communicating that kind of trapped us into our own little opportunities. Well, thank you. This has been
Yeah.
great. So I want to know
Yeah.
exactly how can people reach you and what is that you can help them and so they can come to you and you can help them identify what's their next thing in life if they haven't figured it out. Some people may know they need to do it, but they're struggling to make that step. So I'm sure you can help them make that leap. What other things can people you have experienced that they reach out to you for?
Yeah, we come to this life with a lot of energetic blocks, ancestral past life. If you don't believe in that, then it's in your DNA. It is ancestral, it is truth, it is sitting there. And unless it's released, we're going to be stuck in these loops, these patterns that are going to be repeated. And if you're looking back at, oh, my aunt has the same pattern, and my grandfather had the same pattern, and my sister has the same pattern, that tells me that it's in your DNA, and it is something ancestral that is needing release. So I do a lot of ancestral healing. I also coach people through their spiritual shifts. If you're in personal growth and you're having all of the crazy things happening, strange dreams, strange thoughts, thinking outside, it's bigger somehow, and you're just not understanding what's going on. I help people understand that. I'm also a coach, so I do help people with where they're going, career wise or family wise or whatnot. And of course, I do help the midlife women balance all of that stuff that they are dealing with, being pulled in all the directions. The most important thing, especially for midlife women, that 40 to 60 range, the Gen X generation, we're fine. We're okay. You can bear it all, but you're dying inside, and we don't talk about it. We're just starting to talk to our friends about stuff. I still have friends who won't talk about certain things. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's
Like,
not
we need to talk about this. I have 6 friends who are going through the same thing, but you guys are all talking to me, but you're not, nobody's talking to anybody else. And I've always been that person that people unload growing up. Well, that's too much information. I've always been that person. So I get all the bits from that person, that person, that person. And I'm like, you guys should all get together because you're going through the exact same stuff, but none of them want to talk to each other. They just want to talk to me. So we have to, as women, start talking about all of these things we're experiencing. One of the biggest things I see, and it's prevalent across a lot of my clients and a lot of my friends who are midlife, is their late teen and into 20s kids who are going to school, going to work, leaving home, moving out. The whole empty nest thing is coming, but the kids are going through learning disability adaptation to what they're doing or mental health issues. That is the biggest stress that I'm seeing if you're a mom in your midlife and you're not okay because you're worried like crazy about your kids.
There's other moms that also need to know they're not alone supporting their children. I mean, now we have a different world with social media and they have access to things.
Totally.
It's like it's a different world. But I want to go back to there's an example that I've listened to about the fleas in a jar. If you put fleas in a jar without a lid, they will jump out of the jar without a problem. But then if you put the fleas in a jar and you put the lid on, eventually those fleas will learn how high they can actually jump because there's a lid. So then if you remove the lid, the fleas
Mm,
don't try to jump any higher and they don't get out of that lid, that out of the jar. But here is where it really gets interesting, which I want to bring it back to what you said. When those fleas multiply and have future fleas, those future fleas don't jump any higher than the lid. And they have never been exposed to the lid. So my point is, if a flea, which is such a small organism, can carry in its DNA conditioning that now it no longer jumps over the lid because mama didn't jump over the lid, why do we think that we're any different and that we are not going to carry any of the trauma in our DNA without even realizing that? So I'm not telling anyone what to believe or what to think, but I do want you to think about how do you think we're that different? Where
mm,
do we get this idea that we're so different from every other organism in this planet
yeah.
that will exempt us from having this rule applied to us? I think if that rule applies to fleas, I'm sure it applies to a lot of other organisms, and I would not be surprised if that is also for us. So
Yeah.
I just want to bring that up because I want people to think about it. There's some science behind all of this as well
Yeah.
that supports what we're trying to get to. And this is why I think a lot of people are becoming more and more curious about spirituality and self-healing and self-growth because the more research that we have, the more it points at positive benefits from doing all of this emotional work. Like we know that
100%.
meditation, people think meditation is something very wonderful and very peaceful and they connect it with yoga and spirituality, but there's extensive research that demonstrates that neurologists will tell you how it really rewires your brain and helps you actually in many aspects of your life. So I think I just wanted to bring that aspect for those who might be thinking, like, I don't know, like, well, think about it and give yourself a
Yeah.
chance. You might be surprised in the results. So
Yeah.
thank you, Alison, for everything. If they want to reach out to
Thank you.
you, your website is alisonstuckey.com, correct?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
will, all that information will be in the notes. They can find you there. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience before we leave?
I shared with you just before we came on that I have my energy alignment assessment available. That is a complimentary half hour with me. So if you'd like to book that, I think Patricia's going to put my Calendly connection to that booking link.
I will put
Uh,
and if by some reason, sometimes, I mean, sometimes things happens and links break because sometimes,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
this could be out, the podcast could be out 3-4 years. And
yeah.
what if the systems we're using today are no longer being used? They can go to Alison's website and reach out to her that way. And I'm sure Alison
Yeah.
will work with you.
All of my socials are Alison Stuckey.
Okay, perfect. So on your
Yeah.
website, we can find all of that. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Alison.
Thank
This
you
was
so
a
much.
pleasure. I could talk. I mean, I always say
I
this.
know.
And this is what but this is why I chose to do a podcast, because I love to talk and I could talk for
Yeah.
hours. So
Yeah.
then I'd be
Exactly.
surprised at the end of every episode that I'm like, I could talk for hours.
I
So,
love that flea analogy. That's a
yeah,
really good
it's
one.
incredible. Yeah, it really has helped me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, this is silly. I gotta do this. It's like
Yeah.
I know it, and like I've always known it, but I'm thinking, yeah, no, I'm like,
Yeah, when I see my clients, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense because
yeah.
yeah, it makes so much sense.
Thank you again, Allison. And again, everybody, don't forget all the information's in the notes, and we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Book of Balance podcast. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the insights we shared. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a future episode. And as promised during the show, you'll also find a link in the description with today's guest information, website links, and all the mentions we talked about during the episode. And if you're a do-it-yourself entrepreneur, you can join the Clarity Compass method at claritycompassllc.com. It's a monthly subscription where business owners like you dedicate just 1 hour each week to work in their books, get their questions answered, and stay consistent with their support of a community committed to financial clarity. Now, if you'd like to connect with me personally, head on to my website, oholeguy.com, to schedule your complimentary 15-minute consultation. It's the perfect way to get your personalized bookkeeping questions answered and explore how the white glove services can support your business. And on the last note, remember, we are not lawyers or financial advisors. Everything shared here reflects our professional opinions and is provided solely for educational purposes and entertainment purposes only. So thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep your compass set on clarity.